Do you often find yourself losing control over your anger? Do you regret the things you say in the heat of the moment? Imagine being able to stay calm and unbothered, no matter what others do or say. What if you could master your emotions so well that nothing could shake your peace of mind? In today's fast-paced world, anger is everywhere. From minor annoyances to major frustrations, it's easy to get triggered. But what if I told you there's a way to break free from this cycle of anger, a way to remain calm and composed, even in the most challenging situations? This isn't just wishful thinking. It's a skill that can be learned through the wisdom of Stoicism. Stoicism is an ancient philosophy that teaches us how to control our emotions and find peace within ourselves. It's about understanding that we cannot control what happens to us, but we can control how we react. One of the greatest Stoic philosophers, Marcus Aurelius, once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This powerful message reminds us that the key to mastering anger lies in mastering our thoughts. When we learn to control our minds, we take back our power. We stop letting others dictate our emotions, and we become truly free. But why do we get angry in the first place? Have you ever wondered why certain situations trigger you while others don't? The answer lies in our expectations. Marcus Aurelius explained that we often get angry because we expect people to behave a certain way. When they don't, we feel disappointed, hurt, or disrespected. But here's the truth. People are who they are, not who we want them to be. When we accept this, we stop getting upset over things beyond our control. As Epictetus, another great Stoic thinker, wisely said, "It is not events that disturb us, but our judgments about them." This means that nothing can make you angry unless you allow it to. It's not the event itself, but how you interpret it. Think about it. Two people can experience the same situation, but react in completely different ways. One might get furious, while the other remains calm. Why? Because it's not about the situation, but about the mindset. Stoicism teaches us to change our mindset, to see things as they are, not worse than they are. It teaches us to let go of unrealistic expectations and accept reality. This doesn't mean becoming passive or indifferent. It means choosing peace over chaos, control over impulsiveness. It means realizing that anger is a weakness, not a strength. Marcus Aurelius once reflected, "How much more harmful are the consequences of anger than the circumstances that arouse them in us?" This profound insight reveals that anger often creates more problems than the original issue itself. We damage relationships, ruin our mood, and even harm our health. Is it really worth it? Imagine being able to walk away from conflicts without feeling upset. Imagine having the power to stay calm, even when others are losing their temper. This isn't just about avoiding anger. It's about gaining control over your life. Relation between Stoicism and anger. Anger is one of the most powerful and destructive emotions we experience. It can ruin relationships, cloud our judgment, and even harm our health. Yet, no matter how often we promise ourselves to stay calm, anger has a way of sneaking back in. Why is it so difficult to control? The answer lies in our minds, in the way we perceive and react to the world around us. This is where Stoicism comes in. Stoicism is an ancient philosophy that teaches us how to master our emotions and find peace, even in the most challenging situations. It's about learning to control our minds instead of letting our minds control us. At its core, Stoicism teaches that we cannot control what happens to us, but we can control how we react. The Stoics believed that external events are neutral, and it's our judgments about them that create our emotions. In other words, anger isn't caused by the event itself, but by how we choose to interpret it. As Epictetus wisely said, men are disturbed not by things, but by the views they take of them. This means that no one can make you angry unless you allow them to. You hold the power to choose your response. But why do we struggle so much with anger? It's because we have expectations of how people should behave, how life should go, how the world should be. When reality doesn't match these expectations, we feel hurt, disappointed, or disrespected, and anger follows. Marcus Aurelius, a Roman emperor and one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, understood this well. He reminded himself daily to expect rudeness, selfishness, and ignorance from others, not because he was pessimistic, but because he was realistic. He knew that people act according to their nature and experiences, not according to his expectations. He once wrote, "When you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, the people I deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly. They are like this because they can't tell good from evil." By preparing his mind for the imperfections of others, he was never surprised or angered by them. This mindset shift is the first step to mastering anger. When you accept people as they are, instead of wishing they were different, you free yourself from unnecessary frustration. But Stoicism doesn't stop there. It also teaches us to focus only on what we can control, our own actions and reactions. You can't control someone's rude comment, but you can control whether you get offended or let it slide. You can't control the traffic jam, but you can control whether you stress out or use the time to relax or think. This is the essence of Stoic power, controlling yourself instead of trying to control the world. Seneca, another great Stoic philosopher, said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." This is why Stoicism is so powerful. It gives you back your freedom. When you learn to control your emotions, especially anger, you become unshakable. No insult can hurt you. No situation can break your peace. You become the master of your mind. In today's world, where stress and anger are everywhere, this ancient wisdom is more relevant than ever. Stoicism isn't about suppressing emotions. It's about understanding and mastering them. It's about living in harmony with reality without being disturbed by it. Are you ready to learn how to never be angry again? Lesson 1. Understand the root of anger. Why do we get angry? Is it really because of what someone said or did? Or is it because of how we interpreted it? According to Stoicism, anger doesn't come from the event itself, but from our judgments about it. We get angry when reality doesn't match our expectations. We expect people to be kind, fair, and considerate. We expect situations to go smoothly and life to be easy. But when these expectations are not met, we feel hurt, frustrated, or disrespected, and anger follows. This is why understanding the root of anger is so important. It's not about changing the world or controlling others. It's about changing how we think. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, understood this well. He wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment." In other words, it's not the rude comment, the traffic jam, or the unfair treatment that makes us angry. It's our interpretation of these events. If we see them as personal attacks or injustices, we react with anger. But if we see them as neutral events, they lose their power to upset us. This shift in perspective is the first step to mastering anger. Think about it. Why does the same situation make one person furious while another stays calm? It's because they interpret the situation differently. One sees it as an insult. The other sees it as insignificant. This shows that anger isn't about the event, but about the meaning we give it. Epictetus, another great Stoic thinker, said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This quote reveals a powerful truth. You can't always control what happens, but you can always control how you respond. To understand the root of anger, we must first understand our expectations. Are we expecting people to always be nice, fair, and understanding? Are we expecting life to go exactly as planned? Stoicism teaches us to let go of unrealistic expectations. People are flawed and imperfect, just like us. They make mistakes, act selfishly, and say hurtful things, not because they are evil, but because they are human. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily to expect ignorance and rudeness from others. He understood that people act according to their experiences, beliefs, and struggles. By expecting imperfection, he was never surprised or angered by it. Another root of anger is the desire for control. We get upset when things don't go our way because we want to control everything. But the truth is, we can't. The only thing we truly control is ourselves, our actions, our thoughts, and our reactions. Seneca, a wise Stoic philosopher, said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." This means that true freedom and peace come from controlling our minds, not the world. When we accept that some things are beyond our control, we stop wasting energy on them. We focus on what we can control, our perspective, and our response. Understanding the root of anger is about realizing that it's not the event, but our thoughts about the event that cause our emotions. By changing our thoughts, we change our emotions. This doesn't mean suppressing anger, but understanding it. It means questioning our judgments and letting go of unrealistic expectations. It means realizing that no one can make us angry unless we allow them to. This is the power of Stoicism. Are you ready to take control of your anger by taking control of your mind? Lesson 2. Control your perception. Our perception shapes our reality. It's not what happens to us that makes us angry, it's how we see it. Two people can face the same situation. One stays calm, while the other explodes with anger. What's the difference? Their perception. Stoicism teaches that our emotions are not caused by events, but by how we interpret them. If we change our perception, we can change our emotions. This is the secret to mastering anger. It's about seeing things as they are, without adding unnecessary judgments or drama. Marcus Aurelius understood this well. He wrote, "Choose not to be harmed, and you won't feel harmed. Don't feel harmed, and you haven't been." In other words, nothing can truly hurt us unless we decide to take it personally. If someone insults you, it's just words. It's your mind that gives those words power. If you see them as insignificant, they lose their sting. But if you see them as an attack on your worth, anger and pain follow. This shows that anger is not about the event, but about the meaning we give it. By controlling our perception, we control our emotional response. But how do we control our perception? It starts with questioning our thoughts. Often, we react without thinking, assuming the worst. If someone is rude, we think they are trying to disrespect us. If things don't go as planned, we think life is unfair. These interpretations create anger and frustration. But what if we chose a different perspective? What if we assumed that the rude person is having a bad day? What if we saw the setback as a lesson or an opportunity to grow. This doesn't mean being naive or making excuses for bad behavior. It means choosing the most empowering perspective, the one that keeps our peace. Epictetus taught, people are not disturbed by things, but by the views they take of them. This means that nothing is good or bad in itself. It's our opinion that makes it so. Imagine you're stuck in traffic. You can see it as a waste of time and get angry, or you can see it as a chance to listen to your favorite podcast or reflect on your day. The situation is the same, but your perception changes your experience. When you control your perception, you control your mood and reactions. Another way to control your perception is to see events from a higher perspective. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself of the bigger picture. He imagined himself looking down from above, seeing how small and temporary all human problems are. He realized that most things we get angry about don't matter in the grand scheme of life. This helped him let go of petty frustrations and focus on what truly matters. By zooming out and seeing the bigger picture, we can avoid getting lost in minor irritations. Stoicism also teaches us to separate facts from opinions. If someone criticizes you, the fact is that words were spoken. The opinion is that those words are hurtful. By separating the two, we can respond with reason instead of emotion. We can decide if the criticism is useful or if it's just noise. Seneca said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." This means that most of our anger comes from our exaggerated thoughts, not from the actual event. By controlling our imagination, we control our anger. Learning to control your perception is about taking responsibility for your thoughts. It's about realizing that nothing outside of you can make you angry unless you let it. It's about choosing how you see the world. When you master your perception, you master your emotions. And when you master your emotions, nothing and no one can disturb your peace. Are you ready to see things differently and set yourself free from anger? Lesson 3. Focus on what you can control. One of the main reasons we get angry is because we try to control things that are not in our control. We want people to act a certain way, situations to go as planned, and life to be fair. But the truth is, we can't control other people's actions, the outcome of events, or the challenges life throws at us. The only thing we truly control is ourselves, our thoughts, actions, and reactions. Stoicism teaches us to focus only on what we can control and to let go of the rest. This is the key to staying calm and avoiding anger. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic philosophers, said, "Some things are up to us, and some things are not up to us." This simple truth is the foundation of Stoic wisdom. What is up to us? Our beliefs, values, desires, and choices. What is not up to us? Everything else. Other people's opinions, the weather, politics, or even our past. When we get angry, it's usually because we are trying to control the uncontrollable. We get frustrated when people don't act the way we want. We feel upset when life doesn't go according to our plan. But Stoicism teaches that this is wasted energy. Instead of fighting reality, we should accept it and focus on how we respond. Imagine you're stuck in a traffic jam. You can't control the traffic, but you can control your reaction. You can choose to get angry and ruin your mood, or you can choose to stay calm and use the time to think or listen to something inspiring. The situation is the same, but your choice makes all the difference. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This means that no matter what happens, you always have the power to control your thoughts and reactions. This inner strength protects you from anger and frustration. When we focus on what we can control, we take back our power. We stop being victims of circumstances and start being masters of ourselves. If someone insults you, you can't control their words, but you can control your response. You can choose to ignore it, respond calmly, or learn from it if it has some truth. This choice frees you from anger because it shifts your focus from what you can't control to what you can. Seneca, another wise Stoic, said, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, that is poor." This teaches us that dissatisfaction comes from wanting what we can't have or control. By focusing on our actions and mindset, we find peace and contentment. Focusing on what you can control also means letting go of the need for approval and validation from others. People's opinions are beyond our control, and trying to please everyone is a recipe for frustration. Instead, Stoicism teaches us to act according to our values and principles, regardless of others' reactions. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily not to worry about praise or criticism, because they are based on other people's perceptions, not on the truth. This mindset protects us from anger and disappointment. Another powerful practice is to prepare for challenges in advance. Stoics call this premeditatio malorum, or the premeditation of evils. It means imagining possible difficulties and deciding in advance how to respond. For example, before going into a stressful meeting, imagine different scenarios: someone disagreeing with you, interruptions, or criticism. Then, prepare your responses with calmness and reason. By expecting challenges, you won't be caught off guard or react with anger. This mental preparation gives you a sense of control and confidence. In the end, anger comes from resisting reality. We get upset because things don't go our way or people don't behave as we expect. But the world doesn't exist to please us. By focusing on what we can control, our thoughts, actions, and attitudes, we accept reality as it is and respond with wisdom instead of anger. This is true freedom. As Epictetus said, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control." When you focus on what you can control and let go of the rest, you find peace, strength, and freedom from anger. Are you ready to master this powerful Stoic lesson? Lesson 4. Practice empathy and understanding. One of the best ways to overcome anger is to practice empathy and understanding. When someone hurts us or acts in a way we don't like, our first reaction is often anger or resentment. But Stoicism teaches us to pause and look deeper. Instead of judging quickly, we should try to understand why people behave the way they do. Most of the time, people act out of ignorance, fear, or pain. When we understand this, it becomes easier to respond with patience instead of anger. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, often reminded himself to see things from others' perspectives. He wrote, "Whenever you are about to find fault with someone, ask yourself the following question: what fault of mine most nearly resembles the one I am about to criticize?" This simple question helps us to see our own flaws before judging others. It reminds us that we are all human and imperfect. By recognizing our own mistakes, we become more forgiving and less likely to react with anger. Empathy doesn't mean agreeing with bad behavior or letting people walk all over us. It means understanding that everyone is fighting their own battles. People are shaped by their experiences, beliefs, and struggles. If someone is rude or aggressive, it's often a reflection of their inner turmoil, not a personal attack on us. When we see this, we can choose to respond with kindness or simply walk away. without anger. Marcus Aurelius advised, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." This means we should not let others' negative behavior control our actions or emotions. By staying calm and understanding, we protect our own peace. Practicing empathy also involves reminding ourselves that we don't know everything. We often assume the worst about others' intentions, which leads to anger and resentment. But what if we're wrong? What if that person who cut us off in traffic is rushing to the hospital? What if the rude cashier is having a terrible day? By giving people the benefit of the doubt, we avoid unnecessary anger. Seneca said, "A wise man is content with his lot, whatever it may be, without wishing for what he has not." This teaches us to accept people and situations as they are, without expecting them to be perfect. One powerful Stoic practice is to imagine yourself in the other person's place. How would you feel if you were in their situation? How would you want others to treat you if you were having a bad day or struggling with a personal issue? This shift in perspective can instantly dissolve anger and replace it with compassion. It's about seeing the humanity in others, even when they act poorly. This doesn't make bad behavior right, but it helps us respond wisely instead of emotionally. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself that humans are social beings, designed to work together and support each other. He believed that conflict and anger arise when we forget our shared humanity. He wrote, "We are made for cooperation, like feet, like hands, like eyelids, like the rows of the upper and lower teeth. To act against one another is contrary to nature." This teaches us that holding on to anger only creates division and pain. By choosing empathy, we build connections and create peace. Another way to practice empathy is to remember that people's actions are often influenced by ignorance or misinformation. Epictetus said, "If someone is mistaken, instruct them kindly and show them their error. But if you cannot, blame yourself or no one." This means that getting angry doesn't solve the problem. Instead, we can try to educate with patience or simply let go. Not everyone is ready to understand our point of view, and that's okay. We can't control others, but we can control our response. Empathy and understanding protect us from anger because they help us see the bigger picture. They remind us that people's actions are rarely about us. They are about them, their experiences, and their struggles. By practicing empathy, we free ourselves from taking things personally. We become more patient, compassionate, and resilient. And most importantly, we keep our peace. Are you ready to practice this powerful Stoic lesson and rise above anger? Lesson 5. Remember the bigger picture. One of the most powerful Stoic tools to overcome anger is remembering the bigger picture. When something upsets us, it's easy to get trapped in the moment and react with frustration or anger. But Stoicism teaches us to step back and see things from a higher perspective. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself to look beyond the immediate situation. He wrote, "How small a part of the boundless abyss of time is assigned to each of us. Even a single moment is enough to forget all the things that trouble us." This means that most of our problems are temporary and insignificant when viewed in the context of our entire lives. Anger usually comes from focusing too much on the small details. Maybe someone insulted you, or you faced an unfair situation. In the moment, it feels huge and overwhelming. But when you zoom out and see your life as a whole, these events seem much smaller. They are just tiny moments in the grand story of your life. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This reminds us that our perspective shapes our reality. If we choose to see things as minor setbacks instead of major problems, we can let go of anger more easily. Remembering the bigger picture also means understanding that life is full of challenges and obstacles. The Stoics believed that difficulties are a natural part of life. They are not meant to punish us, but to help us grow stronger and wiser. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." This teaches us that challenges are opportunities to practice patience, resilience, and wisdom. Instead of getting angry at obstacles, we can learn to embrace them as valuable lessons. Another way to remember the bigger picture is to reflect on the impermanence of life. Everything we experience, good or bad, is temporary. People come and go, situations change, and emotions fade. When we realize this, we become less attached to our anger and frustrations. Seneca advised, "What need is there to weep over parts of life? The whole of it calls for tears." This doesn't mean we should be sad all the time, but that life is too short to waste on anger. When we see how brief and fragile life is, we naturally become more forgiving and less reactive. The bigger picture also includes recognizing that everyone is on their own journey. People make mistakes, act out of ignorance, or behave poorly because they are dealing with their own struggles. When we remember this, we stop taking things personally. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You always own the option of having no opinion. There is never any need to get worked up or to trouble your soul about things you can't control." This teaches us to let go of unnecessary judgments and emotional reactions. We can choose to remain calm and detached, focusing on what truly matters. In the grand scheme of things, most of what angers us is trivial. A rude comment, a delayed plan, or even a betrayal. These are all temporary events that will soon be forgotten. But if we hold on to anger, we carry that negativity with us, affecting our peace of mind. The Stoics understood that our inner tranquility is far more valuable than any temporary annoyance. By remembering the bigger picture, we protect our peace. To practice this lesson, try asking yourself, will this matter in a week, a month, a year? Most of the time, the answer is no. This question helps us to put things into perspective and see them as they truly are, small and temporary. By reminding ourselves of the bigger picture, we stop giving power to things that don't deserve it. We free ourselves from anger and focus on living a meaningful life. Marcus Aurelius often reflected on the vastness of the universe and the shortness of human life. He realized that in the grand scale of time and space, our problems are tiny. He wrote, "Look at the stars lighting up the sky. No one of them stays in the same place." This reminds us that change is constant and nothing lasts forever, including our anger. When we see our lives as part of a much larger picture, we naturally become more patient and forgiving. By remembering the bigger picture, we gain emotional freedom. We stop letting small things ruin our peace. We focus on what truly matters, our growth, our purpose, and our happiness. The next time you feel anger rising, take a step back and ask yourself, does this really matter in the grand scheme of life? When you see things from this perspective, you'll find it much easier to let go of anger and move forward with peace. We've explored powerful Stoic lessons that can help you master anger and live with greater peace. Let's quickly recap what we've learned. First, we understood the root of anger. It often comes from unmet expectations or the feeling of being wronged. But as Marcus Aurelius wisely said, reject your sense of injury, and the injury itself disappears. This means that our anger isn't about what happens to us, but how we interpret it. When we learn to see things differently, the anger loses its power. Next, we talked about controlling our perception. Epictetus reminded us, people are not disturbed by things, but by the views they take of them. This lesson teaches us that anger starts in our minds. If we change how we see situations, we can change how we feel about them. We don't have to get upset just because things don't go our way. Instead, we can choose to see challenges as opportunities to grow stronger. By controlling our perception, we control our emotions. We also learned about focusing on what we can control. The Stoics believed that most things in life are outside our control, including other people's actions and words, but we can always control how we react. Epictetus said, "Make the best use of what is in your power, and take the rest as it happens." When we accept this, we stop wasting energy on things we can't change. This acceptance helps us stay calm and avoid unnecessary anger. Another powerful lesson was practicing empathy and understanding. Marcus Aurelius reminded us, whenever you are about to find fault with someone, ask yourself the following question: what fault of mine most nearly resembles the one I am about to criticize? This teaches us to see others with compassion. People act out of ignorance, fear, or pain. When we understand this, we become more patient and less likely to react with anger. We learn to forgive because we realize that we, too, are imperfect. We also discussed the importance of remembering the bigger picture. Most of the things that make us angry are temporary and insignificant in the grand scheme of life. Marcus Aurelius said, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love." This quote reminds us to focus on the blessings of life instead of getting stuck on minor annoyances. When we remember how short and precious life is, we naturally let go of anger and live more peacefully. These Stoic lessons are not just philosophical ideas. They are practical tools you can use every day to transform how you handle anger. The next time you feel anger rising, pause and reflect on these lessons. Ask yourself, is this worth my peace of mind? More often than not, you'll find that it isn't. By mastering your anger, you gain control over your life and emotions. You stop being a victim of circumstances and become the master of your own mind. Stoicism teaches us that anger is a choice. We can choose to hold on to it or let it go. Marcus Aurelius advised, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This quote is a powerful reminder that no one can make you angry without your permission. You have the power to decide how you react. By choosing calmness and understanding, you break free from anger's grip and live with greater freedom and joy. In closing, remember that overcoming anger is a journey. It takes practice and patience. But with these Stoic principles, you have a powerful guide to help you along the way. Start by observing your thoughts, questioning your perceptions, and letting go of what you can't control. Practice empathy and keep the bigger picture in mind. With time, you'll find that anger no longer controls you. Instead, you'll live with greater peace, wisdom, and emotional freedom. As we end this journey of mastering anger, reflect on this final thought from Seneca. No man is more unhappy than he who never faces adversity, for he is not permitted to prove himself. Anger is a test of our character. By overcoming it, we become stronger, wiser, and more resilient. You have the power to transform your anger into understanding and your frustration into wisdom. With Stoicism as your guide, you can live a life of tranquility and purpose. Thank you for joining me on this journey to mastering anger through Stoicism. Remember, the power to change your emotions lies within you. Choose peace, choose understanding, and you will never be controlled by anger again. If you found these Stoic tips helpful, make sure to like this video, share it with someone who might need it, and subscribe for more content like this. Your support means a lot. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.